Hello everyone, welcome to part 3 once again. So this video is going to go over putting the fires into our model. Once again, we have a disclaimer. The full disclaimer will be in the description, but we have this information is for educational purposes only. It's not guaranteed to be accurate or reliable. Information should not be solely used for life or property protection purposes, and the user is obliged to obtain professional guidance for any decision affecting the safety of people or property. Okay, so we got that out of the way. First thing we want to do, so here is where we left off. We have our disappearing vents put into the model, and we are at a good starting point, so I'm going to save this as version 4. And you could add a description to how, what the save point was if you would like to. So we're going to add fires, right? So we have fires. So if we look at our directions, the first fire for our scenario, we're going to have a slow T-squared growth rate fire starting at 0 seconds. And we don't have a lot of information about this slow T-squared fire, how long it'll last. We do want to make a note. We need to place fires at a location x equals 1, y equals 1, z equals 0.1 meters off the floor. And so we'll go to our model. So to add a T-squared fire, we can click this Add T-squared fire button. We can select, we're doing a slow, and I'm going to leave for the purposes of the example, I'm going to leave the peak as right around 1 megawatt, and the purpose being, if you look into the literature, there is some documentation that says T-squared growth rate curves should only be used or are only accurate up to about 1 megawatt, and then beyond that it's questionable. So this is the hard part of the modeling, right, is defining heat release rate curve or set of curves to model whatever you're trying to model. So if you may have a scenario where a T-squared growth rate curve is valid for more than a megawatt, but you make sure you double check your literature. So I'm going to leave this one as the default. We're going to say okay, default T-squared growth rate fire. We'll click OK. Now we need to give this one a name, so I'm going to do T2 underscore slow underscore default. We need to put it in a compartment, and you'll notice we have an error down here. I haven't talked about this too much, but we have a fatal error, so if we tried to run it, it wouldn't run. So I need to select a compartment, so this is going in 4A. And we have our time is starting at time equals 0, so that works. The next one, 4B, we have a fast fire starting at t equals 100 seconds. So this doesn't exactly match our scenario where our wall failed at 150 seconds, but this fire is igniting before that. So potentially you could say, well, maybe there was a hole in the wall, and so this fire started before most of the wall burned away. Or more realistically, we would do a ramp function on the disappearing vent, but we're not going to get into that in this video. So we have a fast T-squared growth rate curve. So we clicked Add T-squared growth rate. We're going to go to fast. Time to peak. I'm going to make this burning period a little bit longer. Let's call it 350 seconds. And maybe the decay period is shorter. We run out of fuel pretty fast. So we get sort of a skewed heat release rate curve. Click OK. Now I need to select this one. Now you'll notice the name is new fire. It's the same as the other one. So I'm going to call it T2 fast, and just leave it. That'll be good enough. But you'll notice it says that it's in compartment 4A, but it's not, you get an error down here where it's not assigned to a compartment. So for some reason, there's another glitch where it says that it's assigned to a compartment, but until you select it, like I can go down here and select 4A and the error will go away. So we're going to 3A for this one. But this time doesn't start until 100 seconds. So when I try to hit enter now, I get that little error tone for whatever reason. So let's check and see what happens. If I save and run, I should see progress bars going across. And now that I have fires, I should have these numbers changing. Theoretically, in compartment 4, there should also be a fire in compartment 3. So let's view and see what's going on. Unless I didn't save it before I ran it, which is possible. Oh, no, so we have both fires going on. So it looks like this fire starts, and maybe I should have. Okay, this is a slow fire, so it's going to last a long time. I was wondering why the one that started earlier was ending after the second one, but it's a slow fire, so that's what we would expect. Okay. Oh, I forgot. I have a note here in the instructions. So we have a fast t-squared growth curve. It's going to start at 100 seconds, and it's going to max out at the idealized, at the maximum, and maxing based on and having a maximum heat release rate based on the idealized ventilation condition for a compartment with a single vent. So if you go to your SCP Handbook or other reference of choice, you can find the theoretical maximum for heat release rate. It can be estimated using this equation, 1400 area of the vent to the square root of the height of the vent. And so that comes out to 2.2 square root of run, or 3,080 kilowatts for this particular room, 3A. So we're going to go back and we're going to modify. We are going to modify this fire. T-squared test. So we can either modify these numbers, which would be labor intensive. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new one. So I'm going to remove this one. I'm going to add a new one and just go from there. So fast 3,080 minus decay period. So we're going to have it decay out pretty fast, 15 seconds, steady burn period. We're gonna keep this short. One reason I'm doing this is a fairly large number for that small of a room, so it may cause issues with the model itself. If it's unrealistic, could be a problem. But hopefully it's okay. So we'll click save, run. I forgot to change the position. So this position, we were supposed to do 1, 1, and 0.1 for our fire locations. And it was strange, it didn't give me an error down there. Another glitch, I believe. So it looks like this 3 megawatt is going to be too big. That's a new error. We used to run this on, I believe it was CFAST version 5 and version 6. So that's interesting, but that's okay. So I'm gonna leave this. So we'll remove this. We're gonna add. We'll go back to our fast. I'll just save time. I'll just cut this and say okay. And to make the underscore. Put it in 3B and we'll try and run it. So okay, so now we're back to where we're okay. Now if I go to my CFAST folder and I look, I should either be generating so maybe that's saving it here. That's something for you to check. So these when you create these new fire types or sort of fire heat release rate curves, it should generate a .o file to go along with that new heat release rate curve, and I'm not sure why it's not saving it here. I'm not sure where they're being saved in this one. In the old version it would save it in that same directory. So if you the point of stating that was, I made a note here, if you transfer your .in file and you've created new fires, at least in the old version, you needed to move all the fire files, the .o files, with the .in file, or you wouldn't, the fires wouldn't be available for the program to call. I haven't checked the user's manual on the new version, so that might not be the case anymore. They might be saving them in the .in file. I'm not sure about that. So double check. I'm not going to get into that detail here. So I need to change this part of the assignment since that doesn't work anymore. Make a note for myself. I need to change that. Oh, this was for 3. This was supposed to be for 3B, not 3A. We would probably get the same error. That's so that's how we can have that 100 seconds below 150 seconds, because we have a door between 3A and 3B. Okay, I should focus and pay attention to what I'm assigning. Alright, so the next one is 3A, a medium T-squared growth rate starting at 175 seconds. So this should be in room 4B to follow our model. And then if I add another one, oh, that's not what I want to do. I want to add another T-squared. This is going to be a medium. It's going to start, I click OK. I'm going to call this T2 medium. And it's going to start at 175 seconds. It's going to be in compartment 3B. And so we'll save, run. So we should have 3 compartments with numbers changing in them. Okay, and we are seeing, I just wanted to make sure we are seeing flow across these disappearing vents, which is good. So we see this room is getting hot very quickly, but then that high temperature isn't lasting very long as the fire propagates. Okay. So then we are going to, so I have this note here. In 3B, we want to see if this works. We have a default mattress and box spring fire, and we're going to set the ignition value to 10 kilowatts per meter squared. Rather than being a time, we're going to see if we can get it to ignite from an ignition value. Now, I put this in red specifically because we want to be careful when we're using these default heat release rate curves that have come with the model. And so these heat release rate curves I'd mentioned in the intro video are based on tests that were done at NIST, where they took a mattress and a box spring and they put it in they put it under a calorimeter and measured the heat release rate based on oxygen consumption calorimetry, which basically provides unlimited ventilation. And now we're going to take this and try to put that heat release rate inside of a compartment that has limited ventilation based on the doors and windows and other ways that the compartment could get air. And it may not be a realistic fire that could occur in real life. So to get this, we can go from File, and we're going to go back to, I'm just going to copy the file path to where the program was installed. And we can go All Fires, Open, and then I can select my mattress and box spring. Select OK, and then that shows up here, and so we can see it starts out small, peaks up around 550 or so, decays down, peaks up again, and then decays out over time. So this is going in compartment 3B. Okay, so 3B. We didn't have the idea was there was going to be another fire in there, so I'm going to, I'm going to click save and run. We won't see that ignite. Oh, well, we can view it as it is. I forgot to change the ignition criteria. So here's our mattress and box spring fire. Do we have a fire in 3A? So I have 4A, 4B, 3B. Okay, so this one was supposed to be in 3A. And then this one was supposed to be in 3B. Right. So if I view this, I can see I have 4 fires that are burning at different times, but what I wanted to do was change this one. Instead of igniting on a time, it would ignite on a heat flux, and we can set it to something like 10, and then ignition target. Okay, that's a bit new. I'm going to change this to temperature. Probably going to have to put an ignition target as well. Alright, so I'm going to leave. I haven't done this change since the last time I've done this on the older version. So I'm going to leave that exercise to the viewer because I haven't done it before and I don't want to record this video. I have to get ready for a class tomorrow morning. So that's what I wanted to show you. Theoretically, there was, we could look at these vents, and then we can look at the Excel spreadsheets. If you watch the introductory video I did besides this part 3, it goes through the different Excel spreadsheets that have the upper layer temperature, the gas species, though I didn't specify. I sort of left the chemistry as the default. So since I didn't specify soot yield, CO yield, any of these others, then the output's going to be the default. So your species concentrations, in my opinion, don't really mean anything. So that's what I wanted to say. There was one more note here. So I've covered that already, that you can use. So what we did here was having an inert surface because we didn't specify any of the material properties. So, okay, well, I hope you found this useful and have a good day.